You know, there's a secret in every healthy garden that really separates thriving soil from, well, lifeless dirt. And it's not about expensive fertilizers or rare soil enhancers, it's humus, that dark, rich, spongy material that powers plant growth. One of the fastest, most available ways to create it is through the grass clippings you're tempted to throw away. But you might wonder, how long do these clippings actually take to transform into humus? The answer is both fascinating and practical, and once you understand it, you'll never look at freshly cut grass the same way again. So, humus is not just decomposed organic matter, it's the final stable stage of decomposition. It's like black gold that holds nutrients, improves soil structure, and increases water retention. Unlike fresh compost, humus doesn't break down further. It is the bank account of your soil's fertility. Grass clippings are one of the best raw materials for creating humus because they are rich in nitrogen and decompose rapidly when handled properly. Left on the surface, they disappear faster than many other garden wastes, but whether they vanish quickly or turn into lasting humus depends on how they're managed. Now, if left in a pile with no management, grass clippings may take 1 to 2 years to fully stabilize into humus. They first go through a hot, rapid composting stage where microbes break down proteins and sugars. This is followed by a cooler curing stage where the material matures into humus. However, with good composting practices, you can cut this timeline dramatically. By balancing the grass clippings with carbon-rich materials, such as dry leaves, shredded cardboard, or straw, and by maintaining proper moisture and aeration, clippings can be transformed into humus in as little as 3 to 6 months. Now, fresh clippings are made up of around 80% water and contain a high nitrogen content. This makes them what we call green material that heats up fast when piled. The heat, in turn, accelerates microbial activity, causing the material to shrink and decompose at a noticeable rate. But, you know, this same nitrogen richness can also lead to slimy, smelly piles if the clippings are left in thick, wet mats without carbon material to balance them. That is why a balanced composting formula is essential. To prevent odor, speed up decomposition, and maximize humus formation, mix grass clippings with dry, carbon-rich materials. The ideal formula is a 2-to-1 ratio of brown materials to green materials by volume. This means for every 2 buckets of dry leaves, shredded paper, or straw, add 1 bucket of grass clippings. The pile should be kept as moist as a wrung-out sponge, which is roughly 50 to 60% moisture content. If the pile feels too dry, just sprinkle water evenly, adding about 1 gallon of water for every 5 gallons of dry material, and turn the heap to distribute it. Too much water suffocates microbes, while too little slows them down, so the sponge test is your best guide. Grass clippings in an unmanaged pile may mat together and limit airflow. This causes anaerobic decomposition, which is slow and, well, pretty smelly. By turning the compost pile every 7 to 10 days, you introduce oxygen, prevent compacting, and keep the temperature in the active microbial range. This practice can shave months off the decomposition timeline, pushing your humus formation closer to the 3-month mark instead of waiting a year or more. Many gardeners wonder whether it's better to leave clippings where they fall. The truth is, when thin layers of clippings are left on the lawn, they decompose in just 2 to 4 weeks, returning nitrogen to the soil. However, this is surface decomposition, not full humus formation. Only clippings that go through the full composting and curing process become stable humus. So, while mulching lawns with clippings is a great practice for quick nutrient cycling, you still need a compost pile if your goal is to build humus-rich soil. Even after grass clippings are transformed into dark compost, they need time to stabilize into humus. This is the curing stage. It usually lasts 1 to 2 months. During this time, microbial activity slows down and the organic material becomes chemically stable. Skipping curing and applying half-finished compost to the garden can rob plants of nitrogen and, honestly, create some pretty unpleasant odors. Patience here is what turns ordinary compost into humus that improves soil for years instead of just weeks. Finished humus is, well, pretty easy to identify. It has a crumbly texture, a dark black or deep brown color, and a sweet, earthy smell. No recognizable pieces of grass should remain. If you can still see strands of grass, the material just needs a bit more time. Proper humus also feels spongy in the hand and blends smoothly into garden soil. At this stage, it's stable and can be stored or applied to the garden without risk of reheating or odor. Once your clippings are fully decomposed into humus, the benefits, well, they're dramatic. Humus improves sandy soils by helping them hold water, and it loosens clay soils, allowing roots to penetrate. You know, it also acts like a slow-release fertilizer, locking nutrients in place and releasing them gradually to plants. Applying humus as a top dressing, mixing it into planting holes, or working it into raised beds transforms soil health in ways no synthetic fertilizer can replicate. If you want a reliable, year-round system for converting grass clippings into humus, set up a dedicated compost bin or pile in a shaded spot. Add clippings in layers with browns, keep moisture in check, and turn consistently. In hot weather, the process can be surprisingly fast, while in cooler months it may slow down, but, the same principles apply, and with consistency, you'll never run out of humus for your crops. The journey from fresh green clippings to rich black humus takes time, but with the right steps, it is much shorter than most gardeners realize. With proper layering, moisture, and aeration, grass clippings can become humus in as little as 3 to 6 months, with an additional curing period for stability. That is a fraction of the time compared to leaving them unmanaged, where they may take over a year or even longer. The key is understanding that humus is not just compost. It is the permanent foundation of fertile soil. So, the next time you mow your lawn, don't see waste. See a resource. Those clippings are your ticket to building long-lasting soil fertility that keeps crops thriving year after year. If you found this guide valuable, make sure to subscribe to Growth Hub Central Crops and share this with a fellow gardener. Let's keep spreading practical, powerful gardening knowledge that transforms soil and harvests alike.